Do you remember when you were diagnosed?
Timelines are really hard for me. Timelines.
Okay.
So maybe ADHD was when I was 6, but that might have been depression at 5. Oh God, I don't know.
I like how you were just the poster child of ADHD trying to answer that question right now.
I really was. I'm like, wait a minute, hold on.
I was diagnosed, I think, in kindergarten. I had to grow up a bit faster than a lot of the kids my age because dealing with the addiction counseling and learning about chemical neuroscience, all that, it was very eye-opening. And it put a lot of things in perspective, like how all the drama during high school and all that stuff is not really that important.
So as a kid, you started having to think about the way your brain works. You had to start thinking about what it could mean for your future instead of just all the video games and relationship stuff that most kids are worrying about.
As much as I wish I could have been.
So I was diagnosed when I was 12. I ended up getting diagnosed because my cousin was diagnosed with ADHD, and then they looked at my cousin's mom and was like, you have a lot of these symptoms too. And then my parents looked at me like, hey, you're a lot like your aunt, like let's take you to get checked out.
Do you take any medications or anything like that to help?
The one that worked for a long time was actually a narcolepsy medication.
How did that help?
Brain chemistry is weird. They were using it for narcolepsy, and then some ADHD people tried it, and they were like, hey, this works for me. And they were like, oh, okay, fine, let's try it for ADHD people.
I took my first dose of Concerta in first grade, and then up until 7th grade, I was on that. And then I did the neurotherapy, and they're like, this is kind of messing with your head a little bit. And I personally enjoy not being on drugs like that. It made a huge difference for me. I like who I am without that. But I'm starting to realize that it's not such a bad thing because, especially trying to focus nowadays, I'm trying Adderall again and took the first pill and immediately felt reminiscent of that time. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this.
It must be hard though for you because you have to constantly have that internal battle of, do I just want to feel like myself despite myself being easily distracted and whatnot? Or do I want to be able to focus and kind of not like who I am when I'm on this drug?
And that's also a question of, should I have the willpower to be able to focus myself? Like, is that just me being lazy? Or is that actually because there's something chemically different about my brain than yours? Which the answer is yes, there is something chemically different.
I was given a prescription for Ritalin. It was like, okay, she has ADD, give her Ritalin. And the first time I took this pill, I remember thinking it was like putting on glasses for the first time and realizing I could see.
How did that feel, seeing the world in a different way?
It was amazing. My brain was calmer. I didn't have absolute chaos swirling around in my brain. I could focus on what I wanted to focus on instead of what my brain wanted me to focus on. And I even could make friends. I started doing better socially too. I started feeling more confident, and it helped a lot.
What about some of the lesser known symptoms of ADHD, like rejection-sensitive dysphoria?
Rejection-sensitive dysphoria is a term that was coined by Dr. William Dodson based on the fact that we tend to be very sensitive to rejection, which is thought to be part of emotional dysregulation in general. It's not just that we're really sensitive to rejection, it's also that we are really quick to frustration and anger. We're really quick to excitement as well. We feel emotions really strongly because our brains don't really regulate them well.
And do you think that that's inherently part of ADHD, or do you think that any part of that is growing up and being rejected by so many people because of your traits associated with ADHD can amplify that?
The actual rejection sensitivity is heightened, I think, because of the experiences with rejection that we have. But this is kind of new. We need to do more research on this to really fully understand.